You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Podcast PXN episode 68. I'm Lashan, aka Roro, and I'm joined by Dan the Halo Man. I almost said the Pride of PlayStation.
Yes.
I'm joined by Dan the Halo Man.
Yeah.
Daniel Prindle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm clearly not the Pride of PlayStation. We haven't seen a sighting of the Pride of PlayStation in months at this point.
Oh my goodness. Missing in action.
Yeah.
Where is he? Will we ever see him again?
Yeah.
Find out next time.
He did tell me that he was working on COVID shots. So
oh no,
he's a store manager for Walgreens. So he was going around, I guess, helping with that. So
okay. Busy man.
Yes.
But hopefully we'll see Sean soon. But thank you, everyone, for watching live and participating in the chat. We record live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube and on Twitch. We're doing dual streams today, seeing how that goes. And you could find us on both platforms if you just search up Podcast PXN. The topic of the show today is our most anticipated games for 2021 and maybe our predictions and hopes and dreams for this year. It's just begun. It's a new year. So what's in store in the gaming world? We're going to be talking about that later. But before we get into that, let's talk about the PXN news of the week. And we're going to start off with Epic buys a mall. So Epic Games Studio, Fortnite developer, Epic Games has bought the abandoned mall to turn into an HQ, their next headquarters. And this is coming from IGN, Matt Kim. Epic Games has bought an entire mall with plans to turn the unused location into its new headquarters in Cary, North Carolina. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Cary?
Yep.
Not Cary. Yeah, Cary. Okay. In a pre-release, Epic Games announced that it has purchased a 980,000 square foot, 87-acre Cary Town Center Mall, which will become their new Epic Games campus by 2024. This includes plans to create both office buildings and recreational spaces for long-term use. So, whoa. I read further into this article, and apparently this isn't unusual. Companies like Google and WeWork have done something similar before. But for Epic to buy an entire mall is pretty crazy. It seems unusual for a gaming company to do something like this, I guess. But it just speaks to how much money they really got from their recent games. Like Epic Games Store was their most recent endeavor, I guess, and now they're buying them all. What do you think about this story, Daniel?
Yeah, this is insane. And just to preface that, like I've been to Epic Games 3 times now because my family often we go to the beach for vacation in North Carolina or South Carolina, and we often stay at a hotel like a couple hours or 2 to 4 hours away from the beach to make the last day's trip like easier or whatever. And 3 times we've stayed in Cary, North Carolina, which after the first time we stayed there, that was a complete accident. But the other 2 times I was like, Dad, just schedule it for there. I want to go back there. But anyways, their freaking building was already huge. Like Epic Games was already a really big place. So the fact that they're buying a mall now is just insane to me. I think I have a picture of me standing in front of the building for the first time when we went the first time we went down there. But this is insane news.
It's crazy.
And even the land, like there's a ton of land that they purchased with this too, which I guess they were talking about maybe utilizing it for the community as well, which I thought that was really cool. But yeah, huge news. It's epic. You could say it's epic.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it's epic news. So in 3 more years, I guess we'll see the end of this, or the fruits of this in the next 3 years, what it's going to look like, what they're going to be using the studio for, how big it is going to be, I guess. Like, that's insane that, as you were saying, you were telling me the studio that they have now is big, so I can only imagine how big this is going to be and what they're going to be able to accomplish in so much space, I guess. Yeah. But moving on to the next story, Nintendo buys Next Level Games.
What?
That's a reference to Mario Strikers. That's how Daisy says next level games when the game boots up. Anyways, enough nerding out. Nintendo is buying Canadian developer Next Level Games, and it's been announced. The studio, which has created titles such as Luigi's Mansion, Mario Strikers, Punch-Out, and Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is probably one of their worst, but will be becoming a wholly owned subsidiary of Nintendo. Next Level has been working closely with Nintendo for quite a time now, but in the past has collaborated with the likes of Activision on Transformers, EA with NFL Hits Pro, and Sega with Captain America Super Soldier. However, in recent years, the studio has described itself as a AAA developer for Nintendo. So yeah, I thought this was a really cool story. I'm happy that they got swooped up by Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo, well, they've been, as they said in the article, they've been working really closely with Nintendo, but they have worked with other people too. And recently they have been looking to sell. So Nintendo's like, no, stay with us, please. I don't want you, going anywhere else. And they want us to keep working on the Luigi's Mansions. And what I hope is another Mario Strikers game in the future, but not holding out any hope for that. I just think that they just wanted to keep them close, continue to keep them close. But yeah, what do you think about this story, Daniel?
Yeah, this is great. Honestly, I wasn't that familiar with their games until I played Luigi's Mansion 3, which Sean actually let me borrow his copy of Luigi's Mansion 3. I never owned it, but he was literally, I think he had just moved out, I think, of my house to go back to Ohio, and he let me borrow it for like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, because one of his other friends wanted to play it. So I was like, oh crap, I got to beat this game in like 2 weeks. So I did that, and man, yes, I love that game so much. I think I talked about it at the time on the podcast, but it was such a good game, and like such a good Luigi's Mansion game. And I really didn't play that much of the first two games. I played more of the first one than the second. But yeah, it hit the right, I don't know, tone, I guess, and just the perfect levels, and I loved all of it. So this is obviously really good news for Nintendo. And I think it's interesting, Roro, that like all the first party publishers keep buying up studios. Like Sony obviously acquired Insomniac, and Microsoft's acquired a bunch of studios, Bethesda and all that, and now Nintendo acquiring one of their own. So it's always good news that kind of the first parties are kind of bolstering their lineups, so to speak.
Definitely. It seems like that's becoming more and more important to have those studios closer and not letting other people snag them up or use them for their own gain, I guess. But yeah, keeping those companies close is definitely seeming to become more important with the big three recently. Luigi's Mansion, though, is, like you were saying, fantastic game. I played Dark Moon, played the first one, but I haven't played 3 yet. But my girlfriend recently started it, and she is loving it. She's like, this is so beautiful, so good. So definitely have to steal it from her when she is done, because I would love to play it myself. But yeah, moving on to the next story. PS4 Pro and other models have been discontinued in Japan. So this is a story coming from Game Industry. The long short of it is Sony will continue to manufacture the 500 gigabyte slim model in the region going forward. So they're going to be discontinuing the Pro, the white 1 terabyte editions, and pretty much everything else besides the slim version. And I thought that I was surprised at first, but at the same time, I kind of get it, like, especially if they're going to continue the 1 version. Because the Pro is pretty close in price to, if not the same price, but close in price to the digital version, I believe. Yeah, yes. The digital version of the PS5. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense, especially if they want to ramp up production on the PS5, which we definitely need right now. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of, mirroring exactly what Microsoft started, this past fall, where Microsoft discontinued Xbox One X and discontinued some of their One S models. And obviously the original Xbox One was discontinued long ago. But I think it's obviously a good thing that they are focusing on just one PS4 console to manufacturers, because like you said, we need more PS5s out there. It's very hard to get them right now. I actually had to help a coworker get one for his grandson. He's going to actually give that to him in a month or so for his birthday, which I mean, that's the most important part is, you know, if people want it, you have to be able to supply it to them so that they can actually purchase it, you know? So yeah, this is definitely good news. And hopefully we can start the discussion of no more issues with stock.
Yes.
But
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Another question that comes to mind when I see this story is how much longer until PlayStation first party stops making PlayStation 4 games? Like, is this the last year for that? Is it going to stop the middle of this year? Or, well, I guess not middle of this year, but because we have some big titles coming out like God of War and stuff like that.
Horizon.
That might be coming out. Yeah, that are coming out probably on PS4 as well. But is this going to be the last year for that? And they're just going to focus first party on PS5? So
yeah.
What do you think so?
I think it will be. I think we might get some spillover like in the beginning of 2022. Specifically, obviously, third parties usually tend to stick to the old consoles longer than the first parties do. So I definitely think all of this year we're going to still get quite a few PS4 games and Xbox One games as well. But I think starting 2022, I think we're going to really see that cut back quite a bit from a first-party perspective. I still think we'll get some cross-gen stuff for third-party games into 2022, like deep into 2022. Like, obviously, the Madden games are probably going to still be there, and you know, all the normal stuff we see every year, I guess. Although I could be wrong because Call of Duty did, I believe this past generation, they did a next generation only version of I'm going to get this wrong, Black Ops 3, maybe? They did one, I can't remember if that's the game, but they did one version that was a next gen version, and then they got a different developer to make a last gen version. So maybe Call of Duty does something like that, and then the next year goes all next gen. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
But yeah, only time will tell.
Yeah,
only time will tell. But yeah, moving on to the next story. Reading from Rebellion on Twitter, Respawn is working on something new. According to a new removed job listing, Apex Legends developer Respawn Entertainment is working on a new IP. One bullet point mentions that the game will use new tech that enables adventuring forever. And he adds whatever the F that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is good news to me. I love Respawn games. I don't think this is a hot take, but I feel like they haven't made a bad game yet. I've heard people say that lots of times, so I don't think that's a hot take by any stretch of the imagination. But they haven't made a bad game yet. Like, people love Titanfall, maybe not a sales-wise success, but definitely fans love that game. Yeah. They broke the Star Wars curse. Like, they made a good Star Wars game with the EA buying it in that era. This era, I guess, we're still living in it. They made a great game with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and everybody loved Apex Legends. When they shadow dropped that took over everybody's life for quite some time, and people are still loving that, of course. But yeah, are you excited for this announcement? What do you think adventuring forever means?
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. As you said, I'm one of the people that always says, like, Respawn's never made a bad game. So, and obviously that might be a little bit, incorrect now, because I know Medal of Honor didn't exactly launch to high acclaim because I think it had a lot of bugs and stuff. But just in terms of like their big AAA games, not like the VR, that I still don't see VR as a big AAA, experience. It's something else entirely. So I kind of set that one to the side. But yeah, I'm super into this. I loved Titanfall 2. I thought had one of the best campaigns of any shooter of all time. I thought it was really good. Apex is super fun. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was fantastic, and I think we've known about their because they announced that they had another team they were forming, but I think this is the first news that we have that it's going to be a new IP. And like you said, the idea of what does that mean of continuous like adventuring, like does that mean like a single player story that just keeps going like somehow, or does this mean like a Destiny like game where you're like connected? I don't.
That's where my brain immediately goes is live service. When they say adventuring forever, it's just like content on top of content coming out. So that's where my brain goes. But at the same time, we could definitely be wrong about that, and it could be something completely different.
Yeah,
like a single player experience that, like you said, just keeps expanding over time, and that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be the cooler thing, just seeing something new, like a genre defining. Because like when Destiny was first unveiled, it was literally like genre defining. Even though now they call it an MMO, it's still it's very different than what a traditional MMO is like, I guess.
Definitely, and yeah, everybody's been trying to chase that Destiny formula, and not many have been successful with that. So, I mean, if Respawn wants to go for it, I'm sure they might have better luck than most. But I agree with you that I hope it is something not that. Yeah. Moving on to the next story, Dishonored co-creator is working on a new Arcane game with Dishonored. Oh, yeah, Dishonored co-creator is. I thought I read that wrong because I saw Dishonored again in the sentence I was reading. But let me start over. Dishonored co-creator is working on a new Arcane game with Dishonored and Prey developers. So I'm reading from IGN, Joe Screbbles. Dishonored co-creator Harvey Smith is working on an unannounced new game at Arcane Austin alongside devs from the Dishonored and Prey teams. Smith makes no further mention of what the project could be, nor how far away it might be. It's possible that it's a new Dishonored game, but apparently, to this article, it'll have to feature new characters because of how the last game ended. I wouldn't know, but that's what they report here. But what are you expecting out of Arcane? Like, do you think it's another Dishonored game or something new as well?
I'm not sure, just because Dishonored didn't seem like it sold that well, and obviously, like their upcoming game, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on it. Their game that's coming out on PS4 exclusive or PS5 exclusively.
Deathloop.
Deathloop, yes, sorry.
Yes.
Deathloop seems very similar. Like it's taking a lot of themes from Dishonored into that, so I feel like they wouldn't make a Dishonored game next to that because I feel like it's very similar mechanics. So that's kind of why I'm kind of thinking they're going to do, something different. As to what that is, I don't know. But I absolutely loved Prey, and I thought that the reboot they did on that was really good. It gave me a ton of BioShock vibes. I love that game. It just has a perfect atmosphere to it. And I think the other thing is Dishonored, in my opinion, just it never blew up, so to speak. Like it just always had, that Dishonored audience. The first one was really, really good. The second one I've heard is really good, but I've only played like a couple hours of it because at the time when it first launched, it had a really bad input latency issue on console. And I played it. I'm like, I can't do this because it's like you're moving the sticks and it's like a delay. And I was like, I literally can't. And I never went back to it, which is kind of unfortunate because I've heard that it's really good. But yeah, I would be down to see whatever they bring out. And obviously Harvey has a good track record to himself as well. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm excited for both Respawn and Arcane to, put out something new. Always exciting for new games, new IP, new existing IP, everything. Just more games. Give it to me.
Yes.
Moving on to the next story, a game that we won't be playing. Well, we will be playing it soon, but a game that got delayed. Outriders has been delayed. So I'm reading from their Twitter account, actually. Their little notice that they sent out this morning. Happy New Year, they write. We believed it's important that players get to experience a new IP like Outriders before release, so that you can decide for yourselves whether the game is something you wish to pre-order or purchase or play. For this reason, we're excited to announce that on February 25th, 2021, we will be publishing a free demo. And they also mentioned that Outriders is going to be moved to April 1st, mentioning that it's not a joke, but it's going to be moved to that date instead. I thought this was, I guess, disappointing news for some, but I thought it was kind of coupled with some good news that they are releasing that demo before the game comes out. Just after what happened with Cyberpunk, I feel like this is a great idea and that people should maybe adopt this a little bit more. And not that demos are anything new, but more bigger games should do that. I know this happens a lot for indies and sometimes some third-party stuff, but doesn't happen a lot with the Cyberpunks and the bigger games. We have some betas here and there, but yeah, I think this is a really cool story that they decided to do that. And are you going to check out the beta? Are you excited for this game at all?
Yeah, I'll probably try to check it out. I think that their last game, I think Bulletstorm was their last game, right? Am I correct in that? I think it was, and that was such a long. It feels like it was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
2011, yeah. It was released in 2011. I believe that was the last game that they made, because they also helped on Gears of War Judgment as well. They were kind of the lead on that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what this turns out to be. Like I said, I love Bulletstorm. I love the mechanics of Bulletstorm and how crazy and over the top it was. It'll be interesting to see if they can kind of capture me, in the same way with Outriders. But so far, I just have to see more on it. And maybe that means playing the beta and seeing if it's something that I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm just glad that People Can Fly is still around, because I know they were tightly partnered with Epic there for a while, both making Gears of War Judgment and Bulletstorm. But obviously Epic kind of blew up after Fortnite, and they're like, oh, who are you guys? People Can Fly? I don't know you. They kind of, yeah, they
said goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
I don't know.
Well, hopefully this game is a success for them then in that case. And yeah, I'm excited to try out the beta. I watched a gameplay trailer on it. It did look like something that I would enjoy, like just the gameplay, the loot shooting aspect. I love that kind of gameplay loop. So definitely interested in the game. So I will be checking it out if I get the time, of course. Moving on to the next story, Far Cry 6 release date may have been leaked by a Dutch retailer. I'm reading from PSU. I'm not sure what that stands for. But
PlayStation Universe.
There we go. Thank you. Reading from PlayStation Universe. So Proxys, a Dutch retailer, has seemingly outed the Far Cry 6 release date, claiming the highly anticipated open world title from Ubisoft will be released on April 30th. Mm-hmm. Well, to be more accurate, the retailer says is expected on 30/04/2021. So it could be before that, I guess, but hopefully not after that. But yeah, this is exciting news after it got delayed as well, that we may have a new release date for the game. What do you think? Do you think this is it? Do you think this is the date?
Yeah, April 30th. I haven't even looked to see like what day that is, because you usually like look and be like, it's not coming out on a Monday or something, April 30th is a Friday, which is pretty feasible, because a lot of games come out on Friday. Yeah, I definitely think it could be, because obviously this game was originally supposed to come out in fall, so I didn't think it would be pushed back too far. Honestly, I thought maybe it would be like a February game or a March game, but given that we're, already a week into January and we haven't heard anything about it, I'd say this April date is pretty feasible, and they'll probably announce that here in the next couple weeks, I would imagine, if that is the case. But yeah, I'm excited. I freaking love the trailer for this game, and Giancarlo Esposito as the villain, so good. Yeah.
Are you a Far Cry guy? Do you like the previous stuff? Yeah.
Yes. I'm a big Far Cry 3 and 4 fan. Wasn't as big on Primal, even though the premise sounds cool. I wasn't that big on it. I wish it was like dinosaurs, not prehistoric creatures. But anyways, and Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 never really grabbed me in the same way that 3 and 4 did, because the tropical setting, it just felt, you know, more foreign, like, you know, you're going into this weird world that you don't really feel familiar with, whereas Far Cry 5 was almost hitting on too many realistic themes, unfortunately, for for the times that we're in right now. That can be seen on, you know, Capitol Hill right now.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But definitely Far Cry 6, I'm very excited for them to kind of go back to the roots of, you know, tropical paradise of Far Cry Island or whatever island they're on. So, yeah.
Definitely. All right, moving on to our next story, a fun one that I thought was a little bit interesting. There's a new game coming out this year, but it's coming out for the Game Boy. I'm reading an article from Go Nintendo. Looking for something new to play on Game Boy? Why not check out the top-down horror title, Deadius, I think is what it's called. You have until February 15, 2021 to lock in your pre-order with copies that ship out in March. So this is a top-down horror game, as they said, coming from the studio Spacebot Interactive, which actually has history of doing this before. They've made a game called Dragonborn that also came out on the Game Boy. So I thought this was really cool because I definitely am interested in this game. What I've seen, like the trailer that they showed off, it looked like something that I would enjoy, even though it's a horror game. It's 2D, so it shouldn't freak me out too much. But yeah, I thought this was really, really cool, and I definitely want to check this out and hopefully get a pre-order. I don't have a Game Boy though, but
yeah, so
that could be worked out later.
So what the heck? Like a new game coming to the Game Boy? Interesting. So like, will this work on, like, I know there's a lot of like rehashed consoles, or not rehashed, whatever you call those, the consoles that can play like those types of games. Will it work on those, I'm assuming?
I don't know. I think this works on like a Game Boy, like a Nintendo Game Boy. If you buy a Nintendo Game Boy off Kijiji or something, you can just put in the cartridge and it'll work, based on what I'm reading here. I don't think you need to buy like a modded something to get the thing to work, which I thought was even more interesting than what you're saying. Like, yeah.
What do we think this is going to sell? Like, are they going to...
I don't think a lot. They have I mean, I don't know how popular their previous one was, but like their following on Twitter isn't like huge by any stretch of the imagination. They have like maybe, I think, 2,000 or so people following their actual account. So I don't know how big this is going to be. I don't know if I've seen many people, like the bigger sites like IGN and them haven't picked up this story at all. This is more like a smaller indie sites picking up this thing. So I don't think it'll be huge, but I thought it was really interesting that they decided to do this. I think it's made with a software called Game Boy Studio, which is like an open source thing that people can use to make games for free. So I think they did that, and then they tried to profit off of it, which I think is really cool as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, more power to them if they can make a profit. That's crazy. This has to be like the longest time that a console's been out that they get a new game release for it.
Probably, yeah. That's why I thought it was so cool.
Except for maybe Just Dance 2020 or something that's on Wii still.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
God.
I don't know.
I can't believe they're still doing. They probably are still doing that. 2021 probably came to the Wii, I'm sure.
That's crazy.
But yeah, moving on to the next story. Xbox asks players if they want Dualsense features in their controllers. I'm reading from IGN. Jordan Oleman. A survey was sent out to next-gen Xbox consoles. A survey sent to owners of next-gen Xbox consoles is querying whether users would appreciate the features of the PS5's DualSense in their Series X and X and S controller. There we go. I got through that sentence eventually. But yeah, that's basically the story. Of course,
let's see here. I'm not seeing an email from Microsoft. Where's my email?
Was this an email or was it on like?
I don't know.
It wasn't. Maybe it was an email. I don't know. But yeah, what the heck? Why they didn't send Dan the Halo Man an email about this? Come on.
No,
What the heck?
I mean, I've only bought 3 Xbox One X or Xbox Series X's. Jeez. I've only bought 3 Series X's. I mean, come on, Microsoft.
You should be at the top of their mailing list. I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly. Yeah, I think this is awesome. I mean, obviously, I was a huge proponent of the DualSense haptics after playing Astro, and I'm sure you will get there one day when you get your PS5 and you experience those triggers. It is definitely very cool. Or maybe even if a game on Steam starts supporting the haptics, because that actually works on PC now. So you could pick up a controller.
That would be awesome. Just buy the controller. Yeah, that'd be great. I love that. Yeah, I think this is great. I don't know how soon we'll be seeing something like this, because as I was hearing, you can't just update a controller with these features with just like a patch or like a firmware update or something like that. So
no,
it might be a while, maybe another Xbox down the line or a new controller obviously down the line that implements these features. But
yeah. And it's not unprecedented that Microsoft updates their controller like in the middle of the life cycle, because they actually did that with Xbox One. They added the 3.5 millimeter jack on the bottom of the controller so that you could use like a traditional microphone as opposed to their proprietary port that they have. And they also added Bluetooth into the controllers, which wasn't in the original controller either. So yeah, it's definitely not out of the ordinary that they do that. So yeah, this would be awesome if they did this.
Yeah. I hope they do. Hope they do before I get an Xbox. So I just,
get it.
It comes with it. Yeah. That would be nice.
Or maybe, maybe even, an Elite Series 3. Maybe they put it in that. I don't know.
My goodness, how expensive is that going to be?
$300.
So it's as expensive as the console.
Yeah.
My goodness. Moving on to the next story. This is a nice little way to end the PXN News of the Week. Kind of Funny had their 6-year anniversary on, I think 2 days, on Monday, I think. Tuesday, I think Monday. And that's when they announce Kind of Funny Day, and they have all their fun new announcements and what they're going to be doing this year. And one of their announcements was Paris Lily of Gamertag Radio, I believe, is joining the Kind of Funny XCast as the new third chair, kind of replacing Alana, I guess, because she's moving on to bigger and better things at Santa Monica. Yeah. But so Paris Lily is joining Kind of Funny on the Kind of Funny XCast, and I'm just going to read his tweet here. Literally can't keep up with all the well wishes on joining Kind of Funny XCast. So let me say thank you to everyone, and especially to Game Over Greggy, Greg Miller, Tim Geddes, Snowback Mike, Gary Witta, and all the Kind of Funny best friends and the community for believing in me and welcoming me with open arms. So heck yeah, awesome to see him join that cast of people for the Xbox, because he loves Xbox, as we probably know. Oh god, my camera kind of fuzzed out there. But yeah, it's it's awesome to see him join the team. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was super cool because this is going to be very controversial right here, but I'm not a huge Snowbike Mike fan. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I just don't like listening to him. So like when Alano left, I was like, all right, I'm never going to listen to that again because I don't like listening to Snowbike Mike.
How dare you?
But when Paris joined, I was like, all right, I'm back in because Paris is great. I've loved everything Paris has done. Like he guest hosted on Unlocked, on IGN Unlocked. He's guest hosted on a ton of other podcasts as well that I've listened to, and yes, I enjoyed the heck out of it. So I will definitely listen to it with him back on there. And sorry, Snowbike Mike, I'm not.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely excited to have him on the show. I am a Snowbike Mike fan. I will say I love the hype that he brings. But I totally get that. I totally get what you're saying though. Yeah. But yeah, I'm super happy to have Paris on the show, and all the other announcements that they announced as well for like the creator spotlight they're going to be having on KFGD, have more faces on there. I think that's super awesome. And they kind of mentioned this on the show as well, that they've kind of grown to a point where it's not weird to have people other than Greg and Tim on the show. Like I remember when the earlier days when it was like Greg and Colin and Greg and Tim, and if they weren't on the show, the comments would just be like, where are they? Yeah. You're kind of at this point where it's like, it's not weird to see a show that's starred by Paris Lilly and somebody else. And of course, Snowbike Mike was joined as well, but Roger Pubgorny was somebody else who got hired full-time, who's a member of the community as well, who's now full-time video editing over there. So it's really cool to see how they have grown over the 6 years, for sure.
That is awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
And you mentioned another person I don't like, Colin Moriarty.
Oh, right.
So.
I'm not sure going to say you didn't like Roger. It's like, what did he do?
No.
But yeah.
Colin,
okay. Yeah. Colin's yeah. Anyway. Moving on to the games we are playing. I guess I will start the games we are playing. I am playing Hades. So last time, I don't think I did it. I have done it. I have beat the last boss. I have reached the surface. I've seen what there is to see up there. And there's still more game to play, though. There's still more story to unfold, which is super exciting for me. But at the same time, that means I have to beat the boss again to get that more story. But I'm definitely enjoying my time with Hades still, and I'm going to keep trying to reach the surface over and over and over again. And besides Hades, I am also playing a little RPG, a JRPG called Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel. So as I said, it's a JRPG, turn-based strategy sort of game on Steam, on PC. I'm playing it on, and it's part of a long group of games in the Legend of Heroes, I guess, franchise. There's a bunch of them. Legend of Heroes, Trails of the Sky is another subset of those games, but I'm playing the Cold Steel series because I think the fourth one is coming out this year, so I wanted to catch up because I've heard good things. But I'm enjoying that game so far as well. But besides those two games, that's kind of it right now. Of course, playing Animal Crossing, of course, playing Destiny, but those are the two main ones that I'm playing right now.
Sweet. As I kind of alluded to right before we joined the podcast here,
yes.
I just rolled credits right before we started on Gears 5 Hive Busters DLC, which is the campaign co-op DLC that they added just in December to Gears 5. And Roro, it is so good. So good. It stars the three main characters that are actually in the co-op survival mode called Escape that actually launched with Gears 5. And essentially what that mode is in case anyone hasn't played that mode before, you have this like bomb thing that you have to plant in the middle of a hive, and then you have to escape the hive without dying from the gas that's like expanding because the gas is killing the entire hive. It's really fun, but this story actually is centered around those characters and leads directly into the multiplayer experience, essentially. So like the end of the campaign is where you would start, your gameplay session of clearing out hives. So it's really cool how they connect those. I thought that was super satisfying because I didn't know they were going to do that until the end, and you're like, what? Like they connect it all, so it's really cool. But yeah, that expansion is freaking unbelievably beautiful too. Like there's so much vegetation and like lush jungles and environments that are just so pretty to look at. It's so good, which is such a contrast to like what Gears of War normally is, because normally it's like grays and reds and all that kind of stuff. But
the foliage,
yes, it's so good. It is definitely the best looking game on Xbox Series X, which is funny because it's originally a last gen game, but that has a Series X enhancements, which so good. Epic is doing amazing work with their technical expertise.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
I need to get on that series. I said that last week too. I need to get on that series because it is really pretty. Just going to shout out Kurok in the chat saying hello to us. Hello, Kurok. He is a fellow kind of funny best friend, and
awesome.
He was on the Team Chat podcast with me when we talked about The Last of Us part 2. So he's a really cool guy, and he streams as well on Twitch, so you guys should check him out if you were listening. But yeah, moving on to the topic of the show. So it's a new year, it's 2021, which means new games, new video game events, and all that jazz. So I wanted to talk to you, Daniel, and of course share my opinions and hopes and dreams for 2021 as well when it comes to video game space. Yeah. And just I wanted to talk to you about what you're excited for, games that are announced, and games that you hope to see maybe as well.
Yes.
But we can go back and forth and just see where we end up.
So obviously, I mean, this is going to be like a shock to everyone who watches this podcast.
I wonder what it's going to
be. Complete shock. Obviously, very excited for Halo Infinite. And I definitely feel like, you know, with all the negative stories that it got last year and the delay and, you know, the graphics deal and all of that, I feel like this game is destined to be the most underrated game of all time. I don't mean like underrated in terms of reviews. I mean underrated as in like nobody's anticipating it, you know, just being amazing.
It's going to be a surprise.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, Microsoft is giving 343 the time they need. They knew 343 knew what they were showing in July last year at the game demo was not finished gameplay. But they had to show something because the game was supposed to launch fall 2020. So they showed something. The gameplay looked great. I mean, in terms of what Halo is, it looked like Halo. It just visually, it didn't wow people. And I think that's what these, you know, additional 12 months or however many months it ends up being will do, is you're getting so much more polish, so much more, you know, enhancements, so much more features. And I really, really think they're going to actually give us a complete game at launch, which Halo 5 was not a complete game at launch, as many people know. They didn't have Forge ready on day one. That came out like a month and a half later. They didn't have Big Team Battle at launch, which is a huge staple to the Halo franchise for multiplayer. There's so many missing things. They still need like Theater and Forge, or Theater and Campaign, I mean, which is essentially like photo mode for campaign. They didn't have that in Halo 5, which that's such a staple now, is to have like some kind of photo mode, especially in a really good looking game. So yes, I'm excited to see 343 deliver on Halo Infinite. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't think they will, but I am still on the bandwagon that I think they will, and everything they've done thus far has me excited for it. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. I mean, so
I've talked to you about the Halo series before, and when we played through it together, the first one, and now I have been kind of on a full stop on it right now, but I do want to get back to it. And when they showed off the trailer that you're talking about, it wasn't until people started like picking it apart and really showing you what was wrong with it that I noticed. Like, to me, it looked like a good trailer. Like I was ready to play that game when it arrived. But as you were saying, that extra 12 months is only going to make it better. I can't wait to see what it looks like then. So yeah. They just narrowly avoided pulling a 2077 as long as they make good use of the extra time. Exactly, correct. That's exactly what Daniel was saying it too. I agree. They completely avoided that mess, and they don't have to clean up a mess because they released early. So yeah, totally agree with that. Yep. And I totally agree with Daniel that giving them the extra time was the right move. But my first anticipated title for this year is kind of a weird one because it's not technically new, but I am very excited for the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. Ooh. Because I have not played them. So I'm super hyped to finally understand what all the hype is about and finally enjoy these games and the story and all the decisions that you get to make as Commander Shep. So I'm very excited for that to come out hopefully very soon, because that is a gaming gap, which I have many, but it's one that I feel is very big, and I want to close that gap and finally play that game and those games, I guess. And especially with the announcement there's a new one coming, just want to fill that gap so I can play that one and get excited like everybody else. So that is not my number one, but one of my most anticipated titles for this year, the Mass Effect collection that's coming out soon.
Perfect. I'm very excited for that as well. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, and I'm sure I will spend far too many hours playing another playthrough of 1, 2, and 3. But I don't know. Roro, my next one is actually, I'm gonna throw us for a little bit of a loop here. I'm gonna kind of spotlight somebody that doesn't necessarily get as big of a spotlight. So, with that being said, I'm excited to play It Takes Two. From Joseph Fares' studio.
That's on my list too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I've literally not seen his list. Yeah. This isn't me, pandering or anything. I had no idea. That's funny. Yeah. March 26th, that game comes out, and honestly, I was like, I was interested in it before the Game Awards. I was just, excited. I wouldn't say I was excited for it. I was interested in it because I liked A Way Out, and I also liked Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was their game before that. And I really enjoyed both of those co-op experiences, so I was like, all right, I'm interested in this. But then the Game Awards trailer came, and that got me super hyped because I know we were both watching and we're like, wow, this is actually super awesome. Like, I don't know, it looks so fun. Yeah. And even like the humor, it's like so quirky, and like these little, I think they're like puppets, right? That they were humans and then they were put into those bodies, and they kind of make light of that, and it's so smart and so, I don't know, funny, I guess. So yeah, I'm excited for the story for that. That's mainly what I'm looking forward to.
Definitely. I'm excited to play that as well. And if you don't have anybody to play with, because I'm super excited to jump into that. And yeah, I totally agree. The humor in the trailer alone made me like, this is something that's definitely up my alley, and I definitely want to laugh along and play this game. The gameplay looks pretty fun too, so I was impressed by the trailer that they showed more than just cinematics and stuff, which I guess I should expect from Mr. Fares. I forget how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, Joseph Fares.
Yes. So yeah, he's for the gamers,
Yes. And he drops F-bombs about the Oscars.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But moving on to, I guess, kind of a question for us.
Sure.
As to, what do you think is happening with E3 this year? Do you think they've announced that they are doing it? That could obviously change, but they said that they are going to take a different approach this year. Does that mean all digital? That's what I think. But do you think they're gonna do an all digital E3 this year, or smaller in-person gathering sort of thing?
I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting because I think it's all going to be dependent on, what's the vaccine situation look like in the United States. Obviously, they're, pushing out a bunch of vaccines right now. So maybe by then it'll be better for like group gatherings. But I kind of am leaning towards they're just going to do like an all digital event, kind of like what Gamescom did last year. And E3 skipped last year, but I feel like that was mainly because, the pandemic kind of hit in like March, mid-March, and they're like, crap, we have like 2.5 months or less than that to prepare, because, you have to put things together and, figure out what you're going to do. And they didn't really have much time to do that. So yeah, I think all digital events possible. And I guess my question to you is like, who's going to be there is the most important part, because last year Microsoft did their own event in July, and traditionally they have supported E3 and all of that, but Sony hasn't been there the last 2 years, even without COVID, and Nintendo hasn't been there for a long time. So I'm not sure who would even be there.
Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like everybody, especially after this year, has decided to do their own thing, and a lot of people didn't have the choice, but had to do their own thing this year because E3 was canceled. But like you're saying, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, they can do their own thing and be just as successful, if not maybe more successful, kind of catering to their specific audience and grabbing those people that they want to grab the attention of. And yeah, there was like a domino effect, like you were saying. After PlayStation said they're not doing their event, then E3 followed suit, and then there was just like a as they should have, because that was the right thing to do at the time. But E3 just had no time to kind of course correct and do a digital event in that short span of time. So I'm hoping that it does come back. I hope someday in the future it does come back to like in-person event, because that is something that I've always wanted to experience going to E3. Yes. I don't hold out hope that that's going to happen anytime soon, but I hope someday in the future it does come back, but it's not looking like it will. Yeah. But yeah, I will make do with like PAXs and whatever else, but I definitely want to go to an in-game gaming event someday.
Yeah. But yeah, the biggest thing that I've always like, E3 would be cool to like just take in the experience and like see all the stuff, but like the biggest thing I've always wanted to do is just go to the press events, like Microsoft's press conference, Sony's press conference. But now Sony doesn't even do press conferences. And now maybe Microsoft won't, after seeing, you know, what's happened this year and everything there. And those were like to me, like the coolest events, because like you could just go there and just be excited, and then they show you an awesome trailer and you're just excited in a crowd of people that are also excited. Like that I always remember when 2018, when they announced Halo Infinite for the first time, and they kind of lead you through the teaser throughout the entire trailer, and it gets to the point where they reveal Master Chief's helmet and people just flip out in the crowd, and I was just like, yes. It's so perfect. Yeah. And then Phil comes out, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, comes out on the stage, and they're literally chanting Phil's name. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of weird, but also awesome at the same time. So yeah,
I really hope PSX comes back as well.
Yeah,
like you're saying, events like that are so awesome, but can't be done right now. But yeah, I agree. I think E3 is definitely going to be smaller scale, if not just all digital this year. But I do think it'll come back in some way, shape, or form. That they're not going to not do it this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any other games or predictions for this year that you're excited for or hope that happens?
So obviously this is going to be stupid, but last year, me and Sean, obviously this was before you joined the podcast, in the beginning of the year, me and Sean did similar expectations, predictions or whatever. I'm going to do the same prediction again, Roro. I think Halo Infinite will get a 98 or better on Metacritic.
Whoa.
Boom.
Jeez. 98 or better.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good game right there. That's a really good game.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
That's what I predicted last year, but it didn't happen last year because the game didn't come out. But I don't know. I think what I said last year was I think that it will be the highest rated Halo game to date, just because of what they're doing with the game, and it's back to the roots. It's all of this, and they're putting in the time that needs to be done, and Microsoft's giving them the time they need. And yeah, I just think it's all there. And I think Halo, I can't remember, Halo 1 might be the highest rated of all time at 98. I don't remember. One of them's, I think, 97 or 98. But yeah, I'm going to throw that prediction out there. There you go.
All right. Well, I hope you're right again, because I do want to play this game. The highest rated game is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
And if it gets a 98, it'll be sitting amongst Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, Grand Theft Auto 4, Soul Calibur, and Grand Theft Auto 4 for Xbox 360.
Sorry, I meant highest rated Halo game. Sorry, I should have clarified.
No, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But yes, it'll be up there, man.
Yes,
it'll be up there.
Absolutely.
That'll be exciting. Oh, so then it looks like Halo. You're right. Halo Combat Evolved is the highest one
at a 97, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then it goes Halo 3.
Yep.
And then
Halo 3 is the greatest game of all time.
Yes, sure.
Thanks, Robert. You agreed with me. If Sean was on here, he'd be like, no, that's dumb. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. I'm excited for a game that's coming out next month, Persona 5 Strikers.
Cool.
It's a Miso game, like the Dynasty Warrior sort of style, like the Age of Calamity, I guess the most recent sort of game in that genre that I can point to. So I'm super excited for that. I love Persona 5, Persona series in general, and this is a direct sequel to Persona 5, but in a different type of game style. So I thought that was interesting, but I'm excited to see the story continue for sure with those characters because, again, I love that game, love that story. So I'm very excited to play that next month, as well as Mario 3D Worlds is the name. Bowser's Fury. So I'm excited to see what that expansion has to offer as well. But besides that, I don't really know what else besides Horizon and God of War, of course. But those are the big ones, I guess I would talk about.
A shout out to Back 4 Blood because that alpha was so fun.
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah. Do you have any more to add?
I think that that covers it. So Halo Infinite 98.
98. Well, we'll see if Daniel's right at the end of this year. We look back, I guess, at this year, at the end of this year, come Game Award times. Let's see if he's right. But thank you, everyone, for joining us both live on YouTube and on Twitch. And you can find us on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Spotify. Thank you, Daniel, for joining me today on Podcast PXN episode 68. And until next time, later will be greater.
Much love.